Hi, everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, I'm very happy to bring on our panel of mystical mothers, Nina the Mystic, Jennifer Halcame, and Hope Piza. For those of you who are not familiar, let me tell you a little bit about them. Nina was born and raised in Norway, but moved to Canada as a young adult to be with her family. While growing up, Nina had several spiritual experiences, including sleep paralysis for the first 42 years of her life. But it disappeared when she left Christianity and started to study the occult. Nina makes YouTube videos and offers private sessions for those who seek, sorry, for those, sorry. Oh, I'm going to start again with Nina. Nina was born and raised in Norway, but moved to Canada as a young adult to be with family. While growing up, Nina had several spiritual experiences, including sleep paralysis for the first 42 years of her life, but it disappeared when she left Christianity and started to study the occult. Nina makes YouTube videos and offers private sessions for those who seek spiritual advice and guidance. You can see her website link is below in the information. She works as a mystic, but spends a lot of time being a truth seeker, combining all her knowledge to teach and grow with others, which has become a passion for her. Jennifer Halcame is a certified Reiki master teacher, healer, life coach, and psychic intuitive with over 30 years of experience. She is dedicated to helping others heal and align with their true path. Hope Piza was a yoga teacher for about 25 years in Miami, Florida, and she worked at the Ayurvedic Institute in Pancha Karma for 7 years. Hope continues working with higher frequencies, master beings, and angelic beings for her own health and wellness, and is currently working on getting her health and wellness coaching certificate. All of the links are featured below in the description. Please check me out, subscribe to my channels, leave me a comment, like my videos, and share my content with your friends. And I'm happy to announce that you can now join my YouTube channel so you can take advantage of my perks and, of course, help to support my channel. So without further ado, let's bring on Jennifer, Nina, and Hope. Hello, ladies. How you doing today?
Hi, Karen. Doing wonderful.
I'm doing
Good.
great too. Yeah, nice to be here again, Karen.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So nice to see you guys. And of course, Hope, I'm just meeting you for the
Yes.
first time.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. So today's subject is the divine feminine, and that can mean, lots of things to lots of people. We can look at it in mathematical terms. We can look at it in spiritual terms. We can look at it from a historical perspective and also through the lens of various different belief systems. And so there's just no wrong way to slice or dice this. So I thought maybe, Jennifer, do you want to start off just by telling us what comes to mind for you when you think about the divine feminine?
I when I think about the divine feminine, what I feel is t- we need to learn how to be. Just
Mm,
simply be in who we are, be in our creativeness and our feelings, and all of these things, so that we can better support the divine masculine as well. We're supposed to be their safe space in these things. Uh, so, when I think about it, I think about those things, the soft, the feeling, but also the strength that comes from that. Uh, I don't think people realize just how strong you need to be in order to hold all those feelings, all those emotions, and to hold safe space for others. So, means to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And sometimes we think of the male energy as being the protective, but often it's the female energy that's very protective. We see that out in the wilderness with the animals and in nature and everything. So that's a really, really good point you brought up. Nina, do you want to say a few words about the divine feminine?
Yeah, the first thing I think of is the missing counterpart of God.
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of completely disregarded the whole feminine aspect of humanity, essentially. According to the Bible, I guess God's a single dad. I don't know, like where's mom? You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, which is very interesting. That they did that, and still today we're being kind of looked down upon. That we're not equals, that we're not worth the same as the men are, and that's still going on today. So it's quite interesting how that happened there. Like what exactly did happen? That'll be some interesting questions to have for sure when we cross over, I guess. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we sure will. I guess we'll find out then for sure.
Mm.
And I don't know which one of you, but somebody, I just heard a noise like a train driving by. I'm wondering if you all have your noise cancellation box ticked
Oh,
in the settings. Oh,
let's see.
I don't know. Or maybe it
It
was
might
in
be
the,
me.
Mine's pretty good. I closed all my windows. I know I was worried that the gardener's going to start with the weed whacking here, but
yeah, of
so far
course,
so yeah, yeah.
Murphy's Law for sure. Did you find it okay, Hope?
I think it was me. I just fixed it. Yeah, I did. I'm
Okay,
sorry. I'm having
perfect.
internet connections, of course.
Yeah, you're actually cutting in and out a little bit. So I hope because we want to hear what you have to say. It's important. So I hope everything works out.
Me too.
So Hope, what's your take on the divine feminine?
It's
Or
a
do you want
good
me to give you a
question.
few
I was
minutes?
thinking about that. No, I'm good. Let me give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm gonna take off my. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, pretty good.
Um, okay. Let me put that in. Sorry. I'm so sorry. My internet's in the middle.
Well, maybe she'll come back in. It's not uncommon to have technical difficulties,
Mhm.
when you think about the internet and how broad and vast it is and how many people are using it for how many different purposes, it just amazes me that it doesn't fall apart on us. So we usually have pretty good. So we'll just give her a moment to come back. And thank you for the patience for all of you who are in the live chat. We've got Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot. What does he have to say? He says the garden is the feminine and the fence is the masculine. We love our gardens and they work well. Good point. I've got actually an illustration I'm going to show everybody when Hope comes back. And we've also got Denise, and Denise says hi to Hope, and of course to everybody else. And we'll just give her another minute. So what I did is I went to, because I believe as above, so below, as within, so without. And so what I did was actually looked to the math and the geometry of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Of course, in reality, you can't have one without the other. And I took a look at an image. Well, I could show them again quick when Hope comes back. Let me just go and show you. Well, that's not right. Sorry, guys. Present, slides and PDF. Maybe it's in there. I'm sorry, guys. Terrible at StreamYard. Let me try again. Present. I have an image file, so why isn't it showing up? Image file. Well, we'll try it this way and see if this works. There we go. Can you guys see that image?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's phi and Fibonacci, also known as the golden ratio. And it is how everything unfolds in our three-dimensional reality. Everything. And so when, for those that aren't familiar, when you look at the squares, like there's a square with the 5, then the 8, 13, 21, and then you see a spiral that unwraps within the confines of the squares. And so the Fibonacci sequence, if you take 5 and 8, it equals 13. If you take 13 and 8, it equals 21. And so that's how it unfolds and expands in our reality. Everything on a physical level, maybe on a spiritual level too. And so the way I understand it is the spiral is the divine feminine. That is the creative energy, and it unfolds within the safe space of the cubes, which is the masculine energy. So it's not like the masculine dictates how the feminine will manifest. It just provides some kind of safety and structure. I don't know, personally, as a woman and a divine feminine being, I think without some of these squares and divine masculine partitioning, I'd probably go nuts because I wouldn't have anything, reining me in or keeping me within an order. So this is the order of things. This is the order of things in our reality. And then I have another quick. Oh, Van Darkholm is also with us. Hello, Van. Nice to see you. I have another image. I was hoping Hope might be back by now, but I guess I will just present it. And that's actually a video file, which is not showing up. I don't know why. Sorry, guys. Let me try it again. Present. Let me see what happens when I do share screen. Oh, there it is. That'll work. Oh, now it covers up the whole. Okay. But it's not moving. Okay, well, this is supposed to be a GIF, which is moving. Oh, gosh. Let's take that one off. Let's see if that helps. And is that moving for you guys?
No.
No.
I don't think so, no. There's a little bit of a lag because I'm on the YouTube side here, but
Okay, I'm going to try one more time, and if it doesn't work, then we'll just say nuts to this. Okay, it's not going to show. So basically, what the other image I wanted to show was it in motion. So it showed the spiraling, unfolding within the cubes. So that's sort of a mathematical rendition of the divine feminine and the divine masculine together. Hi, Hope. Glad you came back. And that it gives us an idea of how even in math, because they say that everything in our world can be described in physics and through math. So even the math and the physics supports both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So in my opinion, and I'll take it back to the room to comment, the panel to comment is that things got out of balance a long time ago. I think we had more of a matriarchy, then the patriarchy came in, which started off as the divine masculine, but ended up being a contorted version of the divine masculine, brought in the patriarchy and male dominance, which includes war and competition and all kinds of things like that, came in and dominated. And then more closer to our time, whether it's the Rothschilds or whoever, um, organized the school system. Of course, there's also the religious systems, all the systems to be very male dominated. And it's not natural for us to be weighted too heavy on one side, and it's time that we bring the divine feminine back. But before I talk about how we can do that, let's talk a little bit more about what your take is on the history of humankind. Jennifer, do you want to add a few words?
I have to agree with you. I can see when it started getting confused, and
Mm-hmm.
and women started getting confused and caused by men trying to dominate. As opposed, I think, and I probably am going to get a bit of a beat down for this, but honestly, I think the feminist movement, kind of screwed us. And uh, most women don't even realize it, that yes, we are equal, but we are different. We have different reasons for being here, different roles. And yeah, I think it really messed us up, as far as how we move together, how those both masculine and feminine are supposed to move together, and not
Mm-hmm.
one on, oppressing the other. Most definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. I went to university for a while. I took a lot of courses on Canadian history and on the women's rights movement and everything. And it started off in Canada. It started off that women had no rights, none. So your husband owned everything, including the children. He was allowed to beat you with an instrument as long as it wasn't wider than his thumb. And that's where the saying rule of thumb came from. So it was not only acceptable, but encouraged that men would beat their wives, beat their children, own their children. Women had nothing. And the early suffragette movement was also tied in quite closely with the banning of alcohol, because when the men drank, they would come home and beat their wives more and spend all their money on booze. And so that was the big problem. That's why prohibition started. But I think the whole thing got co-opted and taken over. And then the different kinds of feminism came in, and there's all kinds. People talk about it as though it's only one kind. There's the radical feminists, there's the radical feminists, there's the cultural feminists, there's communistic feminist, like there's all kinds. But basically, feminism was originally just looking at the roots of oppression within the family and within our society. But like I said, and like what you said, Jennifer, I think it got co-opted, and next thing you know, again, way out of balance. So way out of balance with the male dominated, or way out of balance with the female dominated. But that doesn't necessarily serve us. Nina, what did you want to say about that?
Yeah, the whole feminist movement that sort of started in the 60s with burning the bra and, all of that kind of stuff, looked kind of innocent, right? But now that we can see, what's happened over the years here is definitely an agenda to break up the family. That's, women don't see that, and don't realize that the family is one of the strongest units that we have. And so by them being able to break it all up, and I saw it myself as being basically guided into leaving my husband, into being a single mom. Everything was handed to me, free daycare, free education, everything was. Now you don't have that today, because they realized that that's not going to hold up for very long. But it was just enough to get that my generation sort of to break it all up so that we feel that, oh, I don't need a husband, I don't need this, I don't need that, so that we're separate.
Yeah.
And it's really has destroyed a lot of things, which of course this whole woke movement now, and now you got the blue-haired Karens, they call them. Sorry, Karen, but
Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay.
I know. I hate that for Karen.
yeah, and so now you got these people who are just completely, I mean, they look mentally insane to me with what they're doing, like it's just, they're not even feminine anymore. They don't even look like women,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, and it's also interesting to see how men are now on the chopping block. Now men are
Mhm.
toxic. Everything is toxic about men, so yeah, it's very interesting to see what's happening here, with this whole thing. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Hope, what's your take on it all? Hope, are you there?
Oh, is the audio not working?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm having such issues with my internet. And I was so excited to be on. But as like the feminist wave and all of that, it's such a complicated thing because, yes, there were women that were in terrible situations. And because of the dynamics of the patriarchal system, they couldn't get out of it. So, in a way, women's lib kind of moved some of those people into a space where they could be taken care of and get out of terrible, horrible situations. But like most things in Western society, it gets exploited, right? It's all about,
Mhm.
it's all like there are issues in these things that get exploited, and then it becomes this whole big movement, negative, a negative situation. So I think, when there are individuals who are seeking power and see these structures and these things happening, they kind of take advantage. They get in there and they manipulate the situation and make it something that it wasn't supposed to be in a
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep, I
At
would
least
agree
that's my
with you.
perspective. I think
No,
it's
it's
a
a good
very complex
perspective.
issue.
Yeah, it is, but well said, well said.
Mhm.
So, when you look at the human body, whether you're looking at alternative healing techniques or not, we actually have a feminine energy and a masculine energy. The feminine energy rules the left side of the body, is from the right side of our brain, and vice versa. So the left side of the brain is the masculine energy that's on the right side of the body. And I think, in my opinion, it's important to balance those so that we have balance within ourselves.
Mhm.
What's your take on that, Jennifer?
I absolutely agree. We're all to different levels, both masculine and feminine. Um, and and when those things aren't in balance, that is definitely when you run into issues. When it comes to healing, you have to holistically approach it so that you tap into both of those because they both heal in different ways. But yeah, I agree. You have to find your balance.
Absolutely. Balance is, I've come to find that balance is probably the most important thing down here, and male and female. I mean, yeah, as a family unit, like you need both. Like you can't just have one or the other. Like it just doesn't work. We've tried that, I guess, with the generation here. It just doesn't work.
Mhm.
Kids need both sides, and yeah, yeah, most definitely. Being in the balance is definitely the most important thing, I think, in all aspects, honestly. hmm And we
Mhm.
each
Oh,
have it too. So for us, it just, as an individual, to be in the balance as well, that we're not trying to be too much of one or too much of the other. It just doesn't work. Yeah. So,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, well, when we overdevelop the left side of the brain, then we fit into Western society better, and the jobs and factory work. And I think that's part of that plan to make us docile workers. And so what I believe and what I've done in my own life is to exercise the other side of my brain, so that I'm also doing enjoying music and artistic pursuits and gardening. And there's many different ways that we can raise our energy of the divine feminine in our own lives. And I don't want to leave the guys out of this, because I know I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think that a lot of this transgender issues is because men have not been allowed to be in touch with their feminine side, and they have a masculine side and a feminine side. If we wrote down all the traits that we have as people, write them all down, we would find some of those traits would be what we would consider stereotypical male traits, and some would be what we call stereotypical female traits. So I think the whole thing is busting out of the stereotypes, and whatever we're good at and strong at, fantastic, do it. I know women that are amazing woodworkers and carpenters and plumbers. A lot of single moms had to learn how to do all that stuff too, right? But they can also, be soothing and be the divine feminine too. So I don't know if I want to just mention quickly a comment here from the live chat. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says all the fruit trees were removed from the cities and replaced with fruitless trees. So much feminine destruction. Now, that's another really good point. I saw a documentary recently that said that they switched to male trees in all the cities, because then they didn't have to worry about seeds and fruits and things like that. Problem is, without the female trees to absorb the pollen, everybody is now having allergic responses and is getting sick for much longer because of the imbalance. It's just another way to see what we're talking about here, that we have to have the balance. Anyway, I'll turn it over to you guys, what you think about the male-female balance in every human being.
There was something I did want to mention. In case anyone is interested, you can manually stimulate these things. So if you are right-handed, so you use your left brain more often, every now and again, once a day or so, pick one of your normal routine type things. For example, brushing your teeth. You would normally do that if you're right-handed with your right hand. If you can switch and do it with your left hand, then it forces your brain to process the information backwards, so that you can get back in balance with both the male and female side of the brain. And it works tremendously well, actually.
And it's tremendously hard. I know, I've tried it several times. It's more difficult than what you would imagine.
It is.
Yeah. So I think Hope, unfortunately, is having internet issues again, and she popped out, but I'm hoping she'll pop back in. Nina, what's your take on the divine feminine and balance with the divine masculine?
Well, that's interesting that he mentioned the trees. I haven't even thought of that, or even really, I've never thought of that. And because I suffer from allergies, really bad. And so that is interesting how, and a lot of people too, over the years, it seems like it's a lot more than it used to be, And so that is interesting how they did that, but I get it from, because I guess, people weren't picking up the fruit and it was just sitting there rotting, I guess, and they got tired of it. Nobody wanted to have to clean it up. I can see why that happened. And again, that's probably because, we just go to the store now. Nobody associates trees with food, So that's another thing that, has happened to us. Back in the day, everybody had fruit trees in the backyard. And you did your canning and all of this kind of stuff. Right now, people wouldn't even know what that is, So we've lost the touch there, and And yeah, so that is very interesting. But yeah, no, we do need to have that balance, because you can see it in nature, and you can see it now, close to home here with that, that it just doesn't work if you try to take one out, and yeah. And then going back to the whole feminist movement too, I guess it was sort of part of the whole industrial, after the war, all of a sudden, now all of a sudden they needed the women to go out there into the factories to make all the things. And so it was out of it wasn't because they wanted to, it was because they had to, I guess, and yeah, it got all, our roles got all screwed up, so yeah.
So I think probably gone are the days where only one parent worked and the other one got to stay at home. Now, I have to tell you, I have known some amazing stay-at-home dads that have just done a great job. And these children, their mother did not have the temperament or the patience with them. So she went off to work and the husband stayed home. And that seems to work quite well too. Oh, good. Hope's back. Hi, Hope. How are you doing? I'm sorry you're having all these difficulties, but I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
So, what were we talking about? We were talking about the divine feminine as far as having to have that in a balance. We were talking about how many of the trees nowadays are male trees because there's less cleanup and yard work. But now everyone's got allergies because the pollen is not being absorbed by the female trees. So every time we see things get out of balance, we end up seeing more problems that nobody realized until we're actually in there. Did you want to add, Hope, to the conversation?
No, I apologize, just cutting in and out, but I knew that about allergies and the trees. It's very interesting. I think when I came out, Jennifer was talking about like balancing the feminine and energy, the feminine and masculine within yourself. And I know that alternate nostril breathing is a technique that really helps to kind of bring everything to the center and unite those energies. So
did you say breathe using breathing techniques?
Yes, alternate nostril. But I have, that more of an experience from the Vedic sciences. And Ayurveda, they talk about the masculine and feminine and the left and the right side channel. So, sorry.
Yeah, excellent. Good point. Good point. I'm just going to take a very quick short break and play a promotion for my books. And then we'll come right back and we'll pick up and we'll talk about how we can personally strengthen that balance, bring out the divine feminine and strike a balance there. Learn the stunning details about ET diversity and culture, along with their advanced ways of living and expressing spirituality, which is in no way like anything imagined here on Earth. Transdimensional, meet the new neighbors, introduces you to many different ET beings, the healing pods, the interior of the big ship, my orientation process, cultural events, and off-world mating practices. In my contact experience, I learned a great deal about the big ship, intergalactic and transdimensional travel, intergalactic planetary research, and the various options for resettlement. Once I published my first book, I felt the need to create a second book called Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys Picture Book. I worked with AI to develop many images of beings that we have come to know of as the Greys. These beings come from many places, realms, dimensions, and timelines, and although they are of the same species as other humanoids, they are from many different family lines and races. What qualifies them as Greys is that their skin does not contain the pigment necessary to reflect light in our visible range of the color spectrum, so to us, they all appear to be various shades of gray. Beyond this physical attribute, there is much diversity in their origins, cultures, purposes, and physiological details. My goal is to get you used to the looks of beings which are different than humans in order to reduce your fear and increase your familiarity so you will remain more rational and grounded once the ET presence escalates beyond debate. Enjoy these images and notice the things we have in common so you will see that although they are different from us in appearance, we are essentially many family lines within one species. Paperback and Kindle versions of both books are now available on Amazon worldwide. Search the Amazon and Kindle bookstores and pick up your copies today. And we're back. So we're talking about the divine feminine. I just want to slide in here that one of the things that I discovered aboard the big ship when I had my ET contact was that they don't have constructs the way we do. So in our reality, we have, well, until recently, stereotypical ways that women were supposed to act and stereotypical ways that men were supposed to act and certain ways of taking care of the family. What I was surprised to find out is they don't have any of those constructs, but only a biological male and a biological female will come together and create a family. They actually are biologically whatever they were born as. They don't do cloning. And the other thing is when a couple decides they want to have offspring, that's it. They stay together until the youngest child is grown and ready to go out on its own. And then they'll decide whether they want to stay together or not. It's a lifelong commitment. And I thought, wow, that's kind of old fashioned. You'd expect ETs to be way off in the future. But when you think about it, they just naturally have a balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So I was actually encouraged by that. And so, of course, I wrote about it in my book. So I thought maybe now we could switch over a little bit to things we can do to raise the divine feminine in our worlds, in our, daily lives. As for me, I like things like music, humming and singing, even though I don't do it well. I like to do some painting. I definitely love caring for my grandchildren because my grown children don't appreciate it anymore. They want to live their own lives. They don't want me telling them how to do stuff. But I love being a granny to my grandchildren. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world.
Yeah.
And even with my pets, oh my gosh, I treat them like they're absolute babies and they act like it too. But those are not the only ways, but I just thought I'd start it off with that and then maybe roll over to Jennifer. And Jennifer, how would you recommend people strengthen not just the divine feminine, but also even the link between the divine feminine and the divine masculine?
I agree with everything you said. Those are fantastic ways to bring in more feminine energy. I like to paint and to redo furniture and dance and sing, and despite the fact that I'm not any good at it either, I don't care. You just being in yourself, feeling what you feel, movement within the energies and the frequencies, being open to those things. Quite often, women, because of the situations or the lives that we feel like we have to lead, we'll close ourselves off to those things. So we feel like we have to be both the male and the female in situations, especially if you're a single mom or any of those things. So you can get a little hard and a little resistant to emotional energies that come in, or frequencies and vibrations that you want to move through physically and emotionally. But those are all, anything you can do to create and to just be in yourself are all good things. As far as connecting with the divine masculine in that way, I tried to explain to my boys, because I don't have girls, but I tried to explain to them that the feminine energy is in being and creating a safe place for his heart. And the masculine energy is creating a safe space in this world. And that's how you have these family dynamics. You have the sacred masculine that is providing the safe space in this world to raise children and for her to be her and feel her feels and all that good stuff and be creative. And he creates that by going out and facing the perils of the world, so to speak, and uh, protecting his family in that way, providing. I think men got a little confused, and instead of protection, they think that aggression is the masculine way. Instead of providing, they feel like they shouldn't have to, that she's perfectly capable of going out and doing the same thing, but then the children suffer. And so I think in that way, things got a little convoluted in what is supposed to be the natural divine flow of those energies.
How about you, Nina?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, and I'm, like the energy, male or female energy doesn't specifically have to be in that particular body either. Like men can also be, nurturing, and they also have feelings. They're allowed to cry. You know what I mean? Like we got these expectations, on how we're supposed to be, and yet we can be in the flow of both of those energies at different times. We take on different roles at times, but the young people, I find like they're getting so confused now with everything. Like, I mean, even a lesbian couple, for instance, you'll notice that one is a lot more male and the other one is, even in their relationship, they'll have the duality there. You know what I mean? So you don't have to be a male to have a masculine energy. I've had people say that about me, that my energy is a lot more male than female a lot of the times. That's probably just the way I was brought up. But, no, it's there's a lot of confusion nowadays with all of that, unfortunately, especially now with the whole surgeries and all of this kind of stuff with kids, and it's just getting weird, like but there's money involved, unfortunately, and because once you get them to have a surgery, now they're on medicine for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
So this is big pharma's way of getting more money, and there's a lot of different, unfortunately, agendas there to make us confused and make more money off of us and all of this. But yeah, so we need to kind of go back to the way it was, but without that violence. So like a guy was drinking, coming home beating his wife. Well, that means that he was probably upset about something. He's obviously so he's not expressing his feelings in a healthy way, obviously. So again, we need to teach the males that it's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry. It's okay to express your feelings. And so it goes both ways. You know what I mean? So the males were also, suppressed, I guess, with back in the day, right? They had expectations, supposed to be tough and rumble all the time. And well, that's not reality. Like they have feelings as well. And so we need to go back to sort of, we need to rail it all back and start all over again with that whole thing. I think, it's just gotten out of hand. Like, it used to be that women was at home and all of this, and, so all the housework is done, and then all of a sudden women are out. Well, now they, in some households, they feel that, well, the woman should still do all the housework. So now the woman's doing twice the work. She's got two full-time jobs now, because they haven't quite, you know what I mean? Or I find also with the younger women, they're at home, but they still expect the husband to do half the work. Well, no, that's not how it works. That's only if you're working. You know what I mean? Like they're so confused now. They don't know what's in or what's out or what's up and down anymore. Like, like if you're at home, then that's your full-time job. Like, you don't expect your husband to come home and cook dinner if you've been home all day. But yet that's what's going on. There's a lot of different things going on now that is just, it's so confusing. So yeah,
Yeah, it's complicated. And
it is.
Hope, what are your thoughts on that?
I like to cook when I have the time. I feel like, you know, having a meal is kind of a nurturing environment, which is a very, not that men can't nurture, right? We both have both, and I love what everyone has said. But I also feel like, you know, on the feeling side of it, you know, I don't channel things that I can't see, but sometimes I'll think about a person and it's like their energy surrounds me, and I'll start kind of thinking like them or talking like them. And I think like with the divine energies, you do that with it. Like thinking of like wearing a nice soft like pink coat and just kind of surrounding yourself with that nurturing, caretaking, creative energy. Um, it could be a good way to kind of bring that into your life if you don't know quite how to do it. If you're not really aware of what, you know, feminine and masculine energy are and different things.
Your volume just cut out, Hope.
More attention to cycles and how nature moves, this kind of thing. And I think of the masculine energy as more kind of like owning everything, with the female energy is maybe more like a circular kind of cyclic, you know, recognizing the process, celebrating it, and doing things in the home, like cooking, creating, like you guys were saying, painting, and bringing something creative into your life that you enjoy that feels like therapeutic to yourself, you know.
Um, Nina and Jennifer, can you hear Hope at all?
I can't really hear what she's saying. No,
No,
sorry.
I can't understand anything you're saying, and there's a buzzing in the background. I'm sorry, Hope.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
really
wondering if that's
sorry.
me. I'm wondering if that, because I got the guy weed whacking right outside my window here. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
No, I
I
just
can mute
have the
myself.
wind. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you now. Did you want to just repeat the last bit of what you said?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm just disrupting everything. No, I was just saying kind of like putting on that energy like a garment, you know, that energetic, like in a way that some people might channel. Sometimes I feel this with people that I'm really connected to. Like I can feel their energy and I can kind of hear their thoughts and make jokes like them and that sort of thing. And I think we can do that with these higher frequencies. Just kind of imagine it like a garment, like a nice soft pink coat that you like put on your body and you feel that nurturing, warm, kind of soft energy that we connect to as being the feminine energy.
Wonderful advice. I love that. I love that. Don't worry. Technical difficulties befall us all, and I'm just so appreciate that you came back into the show and that you're here, and I value everything you have to say. So
Oh, thank you so much.
don't worry about it at all. I was going to say I can't help but say this. I have always had some very close friends that are gay and family members who are gay. And I'm telling you what wonderful examples of the divine feminine some of them are. They're just make me laugh and um, they can just be, for lack of a better word, silly. Now, I know that not all gay men are feminine, and I know that not all I guess lesbians are feminine, but there's something about gay culture, and I'm not trying to make this all about pride or anything like that. I don't have an opinion on any of that, but I have to tell you, my gay friends have really always helped to get me to lighten up and to be in touch with even the silly or what you might consider frivolous aspects of being feminine, and they have made such a big contribution to my life. I don't know why, it just always worked out that way. I think I really like gay men because they were safe for me to go out with, and I never had to worry about any nonsense from them, and many of them have been closer to me than brothers. So I don't know exactly how that ties in with the divine feminine, but I think kind of it does. And I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not against anybody. I tell you what I don't like. I don't like assholes. And whether you're a brown asshole or a white asshole, whether you are a rich asshole or a poor asshole, whether you're this political persuasion or that religious, I don't like assholes. Bottom line. And everybody else I think is great. And of course, I think animals are great. Well, oh, this is funny. Denise says she's laughing. She says, me either. So I just thought I'd sort of lighten up a bit and throw that in there. Any of you, anything you want to say, or please feel free to just, you don't have to go in order. I was just trying to keep everyone. It's like herding cats sometimes when you got a panel, right? So I just want to make sure everyone had a chance to speak, but please feel free to chip in.
Well, there is something I wanted to add to that. I agree with you. I have many gay friends, and they're beautiful people. Make me laugh all the time. But you mentioned something earlier in the show about stay-at-home dads and how we're seeing more of that in there. There was an interesting study done years ago that looked at estrogen levels in males and females for the ones that stayed home with the children. And what they found was that men who were stay-at-home dads actually had an increase in their estrogen levels that allowed them to become more nurturing, which I thought was a very interesting thing, that our physiology will actually respond to the roles that we take on within the family. I also think that, the standard roles for men and women are quite BS, to be honest with you. Me and Chris both work from home, and I was a homemaker and raised a bunch of kids when I was younger. And what I found was it wasn't quite fair that he got to go on vacation and go to work for 8 hours and then come home and do nothing. And I got a 24/7 job that paid nothing. So, so as far as I was concerned, once his 8-hour day was over at work, so was mine. So everything after that, we shared. So if that meant sharing some of the housework or sharing the cooking responsibilities, even sharing the homework with the kids, because if you are at home with those kids all the time, there is no break. I used to have to get up at 3 a.m. to get my exercise in, because once the kids woke up, it was mommy, I need, mommy, I want, mama, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's no time for it. So I just found that very interesting that as it turns out, nature knows what it's doing, and it doesn't really matter who stays home with the kids, because your physiology will change to adapt to the situation and what you need to be doing in it.
Good points. Really good. I think it could be even epigenetics, where we're actually able to change ourselves physiologically. I don't mean men being changed into women,
No,
but
I'm not. No.
doesn't surprise me that they have, the extra estrogen does not surprise me at all. Another thing I want to say, circling back to the whole trans thing, there's a huge movement of what they call detransitioners. So you don't always hear about them, but they are amongst the most honest people that I have ever met or known of. And there's tons and tons of videos on YouTube about people who are realize they made a terrible, terrible mistake. And again, it's like what you guys were saying, it's fodder for the medical industry and big pharma. That's what it is. And a lot of people have made, and a lot of those mistakes you can't undo once they're done, so I don't know what to say about that. Sorry, I'm all over the place today, guys.
It makes me wonder about, hormones, right? Because everything has to do with hormones. And I know because I just went through menopause, so I can tell you all about that. But, like once we got the birth control pill, right, we're peeing that into the toilet, which is going into our water supply. Now, apparently, our water supply is full of all these medications that we're releasing down there. So I'm wondering, are men maybe getting artificially female hormones, and then there's also our food. I know soy, a lot of men are eating the soy protein and the soy this and the soy that. Well, some men are getting, man boobs and stuff like, so these foods and whatnot, it is actually affecting our hormones. So that may have something to do with it as well,
Yeah, the BPA in the water does the same thing. It's causing adolescence to come on years earlier than it used to as well.
Girls are menstruating earlier. Boys are, so
100 years ago, girls didn't generally reach puberty until after they were 18. And my daughter started to go through the change early, and I took her to a specialist, and they said, 8 years old is normal. We just consider that normal now. And I went, oh my God, that's 10 years earlier. So yes. It's
well, I was 11 when I started menstruating, so that's
pretty young.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot earlier than it. So it must have something to do with hormones, that we're getting hormones from the water and the food and wherever else,
all the plastics.
Yeah, it's got to affect us. So
yeah. Hope, do you want to add anything? Nope. Okay. I don't know if your microphone's working or not. Oh, she can't hear.
Oh,
Oh,
can't
wow.
hear. Yeah.
Oh, gee. That's too bad. I'm real sorry this is happening for you because I had high hopes. Next time. Yeah, next time.
I'm wondering, like, are women going through menopause earlier then? Because, we only have so many eggs. So we start releasing them at the age of 8. I mean, what age are you going to be going through menopause now?
Yeah. Also, they're finding more like ovarian cancer and stuff because of it. Because the earlier we start, the more, I'm not quite sure how to explain it. It has something to do with the amount of eggs that are released at what age. And because we're starting earlier, it's causing more ovarian cancer in that process too.
Great.
I was lucky I didn't get any of that. I went through menopause at 55. I know it's probably too much information for some of the people watching the show, but I went through at 55. One of the most amazing things I ever discovered, at least for me, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice, but for myself, was to eat enough animal fat, because animal fat supplies, we have to produce testosterone before we can produce estrogen. And so before menopause, our ovaries are making all the estrogen. After menopause, every cell in our body, the mitochondria produce all the hormones we need. So we're kind of supercharged if we can survive to after menopause. And that's a whole another subject for another show, where we could talk about the child, the maiden, the mother, and the crone, those different milestones as we go through life. They're very, very important. And I think that they're deeply tied in with everything we've been talking about today. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Our time is already whipped through as quickly. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says Grace Slick sang Somebody to Love when the truth is found to be lies and all the joy within you dies. I believe is talking about these times, loss of the divine feminine. Good point. Good point. So let's do one more go round. Boy, the time flies when we're having fun. Let's do another go round and tell everybody in the audience what you're up to, what your offerings are, what your services are, and where they can find you.
I'm Jennifer Halcame, and you can find me on Facebook. I do intuitive healings, and these days I deal a lot with removing attachments and helping people find the path they're supposed to be on and live up to their full potential. You can get a hold of me at jenniferhalcame@gmail.com or message me on Facebook.
Excellent, excellent. And Nina?
Yeah, so I also do YouTube, of course, all the social media. I actually tonight I'll be going live on my YouTube channel there with a free message from Spirit. So I do that. It's like a pick a card kind of thing. And then I also have a Sunday show. So my YouTube kind of has two kinds of content. You got your spiritual stuff on Wednesday, and then some other stuff on the Sunday. But you can always email me if you'd like to have a private session or just join us tonight live on the YouTube there and get yourself a message from Spirit.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Hope, where can people find you and what are your offerings? Is your microphone working now?
No.
Nope, I guess not.
No.
Well, the good news is Hope's links will be found in the description below, along with everybody else. So please check out my friends here. Subscribe to their channels, watch their shows, like and comment and help to support because they're all doing super meaningful and super important work in this world. I just got a note from Hope. She says she has no sound at all now. Oh, I'm so sorry, Hope. That's horrible. Oh well. Let's get it all fixed for next time and then we'll try it again. So I want to thank everybody. First of all, my panel. Thank you, Jennifer, Nina, and Hope. I really appreciate you. So nice of you to join me today. I also want to thank all the people who made it to the live chat. And I want to thank everyone who's watching the replay and those of you who are listening to an audio podcast on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. Thank you very much. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, thank you, ladies. And Van, enjoyed the talk. Have a great day, everyone. And so I guess that's it. And we'll see you Sunday for Aliens and Angels and next week for the Quantum Guide Show. Hope everybody has an amazing week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available in Amazon bookstores worldwide. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.